Hello. I'll be brief. Just proud of our guys for handling the rain delay the way that they handled it. 3 hours and 15 minutes or so is a long time to get, previously amped up, ready to go, play 12 minutes, and then you got to sit around in your wet, sweaty clothes for 3 hours and some change, and then go back out and play 3/4 of football. And I thought our guys responded really well. Questions?
Tom, could you just give us some thoughts about Cincinnati, both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I think as good as they were last year, I think they're improved on both sides of the ball. Their defensive line, their defensive tackles seem to be in a little bit better shape. They're moving around better, and then their two safeties are really good players, make a ton of tackles for them, and they seem to be a little bit more sound in what they're doing. They're in the right places at the right time on defense, and then on offense, the quarterback is playing at an extremely high level, and he's a really good player behind a massive offensive line, and they're running the ball a little bit better than they have in years past. So it'll be a challenge.
Tom, how do you feel about the short week? You would always want more time, but you're playing so well. Is it good maybe to just get back out there?
Nope.
You always want more time?
Yeah, it's and it's not on the back end. You like it when you can take a deep breath on Friday and Saturday and let your kids heal and relax a little bit. But to go from playing, our offense played 97 snaps against Lamar, and then got to turn around on a Sunday the day after 97 snaps, and for all intents and purposes have a Tuesday practice to prepare for a game week. And so I understand why they do it. I mean, the ratings are off the charts usually for these Thursday night games, and we're in the entertainment business. But we play 4 of these. We got 3 Thursday night games and a Friday night game, and so in a 12-game schedule, a third of our games are not on a Saturday, and so that takes its toll, I think, on players' bodies. We're playing 4 games in 20 days. You do the math. That's a lot of pounding on a young man's body in a short amount of time. But they're not going to change. So we figure we got a good plan, very similar to the plan we had last year for our Thursday night game, and we played well in that game. So hopefully the biggest thing, our kids know our offense, they know our defense. It's a matter of exposing them to what Cincinnati does on both sides of the ball, and then making sure we get the proper physical reps, but also walk that fine line of making sure they're fresh and ready to go from a physical standpoint on Thursday night.
Tom, kind of piggybacking off that question, in terms of practice schedule and stuff, how have you guys adjusted that to handle the Thursday night game, and what does the schedule look like for the remainder of the week, and where did you kind of get that philosophy from?
A lot last year, was the first time I'd played a Thursday night game in a long time, and so I called everybody I knew last year to kind of figure out, what different people or different coaches and different programs were doing. So the schedule was we practiced late last night. We went from 7:15 to 9:15, somewhere around there, and was the reason for that was twofold. One was because we haven't played a night game yet, and to get under the lights on turf, and the temperature being a little bit cooler. But 2 was also to let them rest a little bit longer on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. We didn't have them in here until 2 o'clock. Normally they're in here at noon on a Sunday. So that schedule was a little bit different. And then today we'll go out at night again. We'll have pretty similar schedule in terms of when they're here. They'll still eat lunch here and lift weights today. And then, but we've scheduled a block of about an hour and a half of some optional treatment and tape and stuff like that to, again, continue to rejuvenate their bodies. And then the practice schedules themselves, we're trying to not be on the field very long. So there's really no individual time. It's all scout work and special teams work. So last night was 16 5-minute periods, so I think that's an hour and 20 minutes. Tonight it'll be 18 periods, which is an hour and a half, and then we'll go back to our normal Thursday schedule tomorrow in the afternoon, and you know, that's what we did, you know, leading up to the SMU game, and felt like it was pretty good.
Coach, how's Greg doing, and do you think him not being able to play on Saturday will help him, you know, recover for Thursday?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, anytime, you know, he got a tremendous amount of work because we obviously thought we were going to play at 11 and be done, and so he got a big-time rehab treatment in the morning when we got here. Then he went out and he warmed up, threw the ball around a little bit, and then obviously we didn't play him. But then when we came in and we realized the rain delay was going to be pretty long, he got another rehab and treatment in, and so it was actually pretty good for him. He was out in pads last night and practiced, still sore. I mean, but you know, it's the soreness is it's all muscular, and so we're doing you know, everything we can today, from massages to dry needling to you know, to make sure that the muscles that surround his shoulder are ready to go. But he threw the ball yesterday, and I would expect him to be even better today.
Coach Herman, if you can, just talking about football ideology, Saturday was a long delay. Most times when delays happen, you know, it's a short 30 minutes or maybe 45 at the most. That's a long time for guys to sit around and not so much forget what's going on, but just thinking more about, okay, when are we getting back on the field, and the weather delay being the weather delay. How do you go about preparing guys? You know, is there a process that you go by to keep guys prepared for situations like that?
Yeah, we kind of had a dress rehearsal every training camp. We in the middle of practice, we'll just call it up and jog them into the tunnel, jog them into the locker room, tell them, okay, this is what we do, this is where we'll go, this is kind of our procedure, if you will, and then you never anticipate one being 3 hours and 15 minutes. That was definitely the longest one I'd been around. But you know, the first 5-10 minutes, the coaches kind of, offensive staff, defensive staff, get together, talk about their notes and adjustments and all that, and while the players are in the locker room and with our strength staff and support staff, just being reminded on where to go and hydrating and eating, and then spend kind of the next 20 minutes or so talking, you know, each position coach with their position about adjustments and stuff. And then if it goes any longer than that, you know, you're not going to beat them over the head with football, you know, and so we really just try to stay out of their way and let our guys take their shoulder pads off, let them cut their tape off their wrists and ankles and all that, and let them put their headphones in and you know, make sure they're eating, make sure they're hydrating, but beyond that, you know, let them relax and you know, treat it like a pregame.
Tom, after getting a chance to review the video, how did Oliver follow up his debut?
Good. You know, I mean, the defense as a whole, I think, only played 41 snaps, and so I think Ed only played, you know, 16, 17 snaps. So he played like he should play.
Tom, last year I believe Cincinnati was able to accumulate over 500 yards offense. Majority of that passing. I believe that was the game William Jackson got injured in as well. Was there anything? I know some of the players have changed, but is there anything that you guys could take away from last year and kind of transfer into this year and maybe make some adjustments defensively?
Not as much, because they're different. You know, they've got a different offensive coordinator, and the system's a little bit different, a little bit, in some ways, more difficult to defend because there's more formations and they're running the ball a little bit better. But at the same time, you know, they had a bunch of NFL wideouts, or at least really good wideouts. and a great quarterback and a really good left tackle that got drafted as well. So a lot of the, not only have the faces changed, but the scheme has changed too. So there's not a ton of carryover from last year from our defensive standpoint.
Tom, does it help you've already played a very important game right off the bat against Oklahoma, was successful, and now going on the road playing a game like this so quickly?
Yeah, I hadn't looked at it that way, but it can't hurt. You know, they had a pretty big one too, going into a Big Ten opponent's house, and I think, you know, in the fourth quarter they were up by 24. Purdue kind of crept back in it a little bit, but the game wasn't tremendously close. So they've performed well on a pretty big stage as well.
Tom, you mentioned Greg. How about Duke, his situation? And
Yeah, Duke was
good.
great, 100% last night, and all systems go.
And how gratifying it is to see Kevin and those guys step up. So you got some depth there.
Yeah, very gratifying. They still got a long way to go. You know, a lot of that was our offensive line, you know, doing some yeoman's work up front. You know, they didn't play a perfect game by any stretch, but any time a young guy can get that many valuable real-life game reps is, you know, a blessing, you know, for those guys. You feel like either one of those guys could go in for a spell right now. Would you want to go into the Cincinnati game with either one of those guys, you know, carrying the ball 27 times? I don't think so. They're not quite there yet in their development, but it was a good step forward, definitely.
Tom, at the end of spring, you had mentioned that this defense had the potential against the run to be even better than it was last year. What they did against Oklahoma and then following it up against Lamar, is that kind of the trajectory you thought in terms of what they've done so far? And
Yeah, I mean, it's a very small sample size too. We're you know, 2 games into it, and you know, in the middle of the third quarter, Oklahoma was also down whatever they were, 16 points, and so you know, I think that changed the dynamics of their play calling a little bit too. So we'll see this. I think this will be a good barometer. I think you can glean a lot when you get a sample size of 3 or 4 games rather than just 2 games, one of them being, you know, against an FCS opponent.
Tom, kind of off topic. Jalen Hurts at Alabama, who was a local kid, how closely and intently did you guys recruit him?
Really hard.
What were your thoughts on him as a player and what you got to know of him in the recruiting
great.
process?
I mean, he's a coach's kid, and you love that in quarterbacks, and obviously being a local kid, you know, we thought, you know, he might be one of the best in the country, you know, and he was right here in Houston, and you know, wish him the best of luck.
With being someone who works with quarterbacks so closely, how difficult is it as a true freshman to step out in college football, major college football?
I think it's very difficult, but it's exponentially easier, not easier when you enroll in January and you have an entire off season, you have a spring practice, you know, against some grown dudes on defense, and then you have a summer, you know, conditioning. I think that accelerates that progress a lot. Good? Oh.
On the O-line last night, you had mentioned the kind of the guards are fluid right now. I think Alex Fontana started against Lamar, and he's listed again.
He'll start with Mason Denley. Will play and continue to battle there, and then Mac will start, but Marcus Oliver will play and continue to battle there.
You're comfortable with the other three?
Very comfortable, yeah. Good. All right, thank you.